Hello world, hello Zion, it's Prince Easy once again, and as usual, let's get to it, right? I'm not the ones with the lengthy introductions. So yeah, I almost forgot about this. Broke out a long time ago, right? If we keep in mind all the things that have unfolded actually. Right? Yeah. This movie called Empire Strike Back. Yeah, this is exactly that. The Empire Strikes Back, right? Yeah. Now, for those who were hoping for a neutral party with no interest whatsoever to quote unquote negotiate, this is what we have, right? This is unfolding, right? And I hope this is not true. I hope this is not true, that it is made up in this convoluted or rather fog of war, right? I hope so. So, fair use disclaimer. And these are just views for review, criticism, right? Let's see. All of these things are ritualistic, okay? Ritualistic. Right? And my message to them is this: I saw your sorcery that you did on my name. I know this the public will not understand, but I know what you did twice. One in America, the other one, both of them actually. Two biggest rituals. Okay. The pyramid, blue and black lion. What do you think that's about? That's their logo. Yeah, right? This is the problem, brothers and sisters. Right? These people have gone too far when it comes to their identity theft, and now they're being caught, and the best they could do is censor. Right? So again, lions, the lions of Judah, right? These are symbols of the African people. But these people hijack them and they're using them. Right? Why? Because of the Lion of Judah, the title, the princely title, the royal title. That's what they're after. This is why they took everything and they named themselves and even renamed their names from their original nationalities to new nationalities, and they made this Zion movement, right? And of course, jewelry comes from the word Judah, right? So they are basically saying to the world that we are the tribe that is supposed to give you your loyal bloodline. Okay, so all of these things, they are all spiritual, and they won't make sense they have real life consequences, yes, but this now warfare that is going on, mostly I would say 70% of it, it's spiritual. All of it is spiritual, right? If 70% of it is spiritual, because even the things that are happening in the physical world, they are all connected, right? They start in the spiritual realm. They know the principles, right? So let's bring this back a little bit so we can have a read. Right? The Lion of Judah, Hebrew, right? They don't tell you what type of Hebrew, or rather, there are many types of Hebrew, but nah, they lie to you. Okay, so the program, if you can, that you might say, you might be thinking like, yo, that's a shadow. No, it's not a shadow, right? They are trying to create, they are trying to hijack the loyal bloodline. That's their whole thing, right? Jewish nation culture symbol, traditionally regarded as a symbol of tribe of Judah. The association between the Judahites and the lion can be found in blessings given to Jacob and his fourth, right? Genesis Hebrew Bible, right? They're using all of the trigger words that are available. Why a lion? Again, the kingdom of Judah is headed by Michael, the archangel, right? And the archangels have the four faces: a man, a lion, an eagle, and a bull, right? So when you see, even in Mesopotamia, this is very popular, right? Their gods, I don't know if they are original or the fake ones. Everything is convoluted, right? Because even the other side copies what the Judah is doing, right? Even now, right? They take what the prince is saying and use it for their own gains, right? And you're gonna see that more and more, right? Hence I call it the Project Gemini, right? For those who have been around for a long time. Okay, and this is the whole point, and this is what's gonna come down to, right? And now here comes the confusion, right? These Judaic, right? These people from the tribes of Judah, why do they have a trident? Why do they have a trident in their whole situation, right? Because it is not a symbol that Judah would use in any way. All of these frauds and warmongers, right? Right? It's perfect. We have the so-called Star of David, the banner of the supposed kingdom of David. But if you ask them where does the star come from, they'll tell you they don't know, and that's the truth. But here we are, right? But the only star that has been ever referred to in the Bible, let me show you. Right? So we have Jude 1:13 over there. Raging waves of the sea, forming their own shame, right? They are waging war against God. Who are these? Wandering stars. These are the Nephilim, right? To whom is reserved the blackness of the darkness forever, right? Hell was primarily made for these wandering stars. Why are they called wandering stars? Because they are not following the order, right? They are rebelling, right? These are the same stars that came down here to Earth, right? I know you know that stars are up there, right? The stars came down to Earth and came to the women of Earth, and they made children with them. That was their grave sin. And this is where they're gonna go, right? This is the star, right? That these people are waving about, right? Now, Revelation 22:16, right? This is another confusion that I've seen arise, right? And Yeshua said, I have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches, right? The 7 churches. If I'm not mistaken, 7, yes? And I'm the root of the offspring of David, right? He's showing his royal lineage. His royal lineage, right? That is what gives him legitimacy and power, right? And also makes him a target from the other side, right? And the bright and morning star. Now here you might ask yourself, why is Christ referring to himself as the morning star, right? The morning star is connected to the word Lucifer, right? We have to understand this. Lucifer is not the name of the serpent. It was a title, right? It was the first star to appear in the morning. That was the role of this angel that we are dealing with, right? Not the wandering stars, okay? All of these stars are in synchronicity, right? So in order of appearance in the sky, the morning star was supposed to appear first, and then the other stars would what? Would follow, right? So this was the role of this fallen angel, and he was called a Lucifer. Lucifer was a title, an angelic title, a role, right? But since they have abandoned this role, this title was taken back. Okay, this title was taken back. The King of Kings took back the title and gave it to Yeshua. Now he is the Lucifer. Okay, he is the morning star. He is the first light in the sky, right? Before the sun comes up, right? So it is prophetic. It is prophetic. The right bringer, right? Lucifer, the right bringer. The first star to bring the light. Okay, so maybe I hope that settles that situation, right? And another scripture, I've been trying to find it here, but I've not been able. It was pertaining to the star of a god, Rampham or something like that. There was a god that the Israelites used to worship, right? You can go into Google over there and type in all of the gods that okay, so I decided to go Google myself. Go Google, right? It reminds me. It's a whole story, right? So this is what I'm talking about. The star of Remphan, a pagan idolatrous symbol mentioned in the Bible, Amos 5:26 and Acts 7:42-43, as a star associated with the worship of the planet Saturn, right? The worship of the planet Saturn, right? So NASA is not fooling anyone. They are not new, right? Okay, and of course, this is the Israelites, eh? This is us in the past. Eh? We built the Israelites by referencing their ancestors who worship this symbol, which were also known as the star of your God chewing in Amos 5:26 in the term of Remphan or Rephan is the Greek translation of chewing, Chion, right, found in the Septuagint, the ancient Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible. It is crucial to note that the Star of Ephraim is not the Star of David, as modern interpretations sometimes erroneously claim. Right? So let's see this star. Right? The Star of Ephraim and the six-pointed star, right? You can see here, right? And of course, another familiar thing that you're also gonna see, the false gods that Israelites worship in the different times include the Canaanite deity Baal, right, or Baal, a god of fertility and storms, right? Does that sound familiar, right? And his consort Asherah, the fertility goddess. Okay, does that sound familiar? So Baal was the king, Asherah was the goddess, right? So God and then goddess. The child sacrificing god, Molech, the Philistine grain god, Dagon, and the Moabite god, Chemosh, right? The golden calf, again, going back to the worshipping of Nephilims, right? Nephilims. You are not supposed to worship angels, right? Regardless of their magnificence and power and everything of sort. They are still creatures. That's why it was considered idolatrous, right? And of course, it goes into detail, right? You can read for yourself, right? So all of these adaptations happened because of interactions with their neighbors, right? And basically, right, God and many, these were deities of fortune and destiny, right? Tipping the scales, right? So again, they insist that it is not, right? It is not the same star, right? But again, their star is a sex symbol, right? The first triangle is the male, which is facing upwards, and of course the cup, right? The professor talk about the cup, the chalice, meaning the woman, right? So you have the lion below, and above you have the man, and of course we have the bull, and of course the eagle, right? This has nothing to do with okay, let me just say that, right? It has nothing to do, right? Okay, you a prince is just a representation, right? Like an ambassador of some kind, right? And the ambassador cannot use their name as the official, I don't know, insignia of office, right? So this is force, right? They are again trying to hijack, but it's a lie. There are two triangles there, one facing up, one facing down, and that's a sex symbol. And of course, that is the whole Babylon, right? Babylon, right? And of course, since they control Google, and of course, like they boasted in the video I showed you the other time, right? They were saying, we are the masters of the universe, and he started going on and on and on to tell us about all of those people who, right? So there's a lot of information out there. You can go look up for yourself. So let's pick up from where we left off. I hope it's here. right? Like I said, right? If you look at the lions, if you look at the two lions, they're not one lion, as you might think that it's a shadow of the other. No, the lion in the blue has its mouth open, and the lion in the forefront is has its mouth closed. Okay, so this is the Nimrod again, right? A prince turned evil, right? By hybridization. Okay, hence the focus that they have, right? And all of these rituals they keep doing, and people getting hurt, and all ritualistic. I mean, the system done good. Like most of them, Navy SEALs, right? They're all part of the American military somehow. Yeah, he's not drawing any conclusion. He's just noticing the patterns. Hmm? And of course, we have this one brewing, right? I'm tracking Taka. Track Taka. Taka is a tricky one. Taka is a tricky one, right? But I'm watching him. I'm watching him. Okay, I'm watching him, and just know you're being watched. Okay, so talking about that event that this guy is covering here. Fair use disclaimer.
FBI.gov website, you'll find the 10 most wanted list. And on that list, of course, is Osama bin Laden. You can pull up his wanted poster, and on that poster is a list of charges that he's wanted for. The curious thing is that nowhere in the list of charges is any mention of September 11th. The Muckraker report contacted Rex Toome, a spokesperson for the FBI, and asked why was there no mention of the attacks on September 11th on Osama's wanted poster. Mr. Toome's response was, "We have no hard evidence linking Osama bin Laden with the attacks on September 11th. Condoleezza Rice had stated that they would release their information in due time. Ladies and gentlemen, when you charge someone with conspiracy to murder 3,000 people, and you have no evidence to back up that charge of conspiracy, that makes the charge a conspiracy theory. That means that the entire war on terror is based upon fraud. We've been told over and over again that this is a war on terror."
My guys, he's digging deep. he's digging. He's digging deep.
But is this a war on terror or a war for profit? We know that there are hundreds of government contractors in Iraq right now with countless contracts. Let's take a look at one of these government contracts, a no-bid contract that was awarded to Halliburton. The Houston Chronicle reported that 82,000 gallons of liquid propane fuel were to be transported to Baghdad. But they weren't going to be transported from the United States to Baghdad. They were going to be transported from Kuwait to Baghdad, a distance of approximately 300 miles. I contacted a liquid propane company and asked how many trucks it would take to transport 82,000 gallons of fuel. I was told about 10 trucks. I asked, how much would you charge to transport those 10 trucks approximately 300 miles? I was told approximately $1 per mile per truck, for a total of approximately $3,000. I asked if this was a government contract, how much would the charge be? And I was told that it would be 2 or 3 times that amount. So let's say it would be $10,000. The question is, how much was Halliburton awarded to transport this fuel? The answer, $27.5 million. How many?
Ha! Ha! Got him. They got you. And then token all your money. And they're still doing the same ploy even today, brothers and sisters, right? Even today, even now as we speak.
If your tax dollars went to pay Halliburton to transport this fuel, wouldn't it have been cheaper to have 10 privates drive those trucks that distance? The question is, how much money is coming out of the United States taxpayers' dollars to pay for this war and is being funneled into the pockets of companies like Halliburton? Is this a war for profit?
My guy here is literally scratching the surface, right? We know that, right? This is just oil, right? Not even ammunition and all of that.
You decide. Meet the doctor.
So, another fair use disclaimer, right? For review purposes.
Suing the CDC. Study was on every baby born into my practice, so not the whole practice. I wanted a nice, clean sample. You start at birth, and then you look at the difference in all health outcomes, which they never study that. The CDCs should, but they never do. Look at all health outcomes comparing vaccinated, and in my case, they were barely vaccinated, not CDC vaccinated, to completely unvaccinated, and see the difference. And we published that study, and within...
Me personally, I've been following this guy for a really long time. I remember he had a YouTube channel a long time ago and he disappeared, right? Like they always do in this void. Right, and he was making like videos about visits when they come in for weekly visits, right? Babies and stuff, right? And he used to make videos about it, he used to give examinations, he was very informational and very educative, right? Just a solid guy, in my opinion. Okay.
Days of that study being published, and I see it on your screen, you're seeing the title of that study. Within days, I lost my license. I got a phone call from my attorney, said, Paul, don't go into the office, don't call any patients, don't write any prescriptions. Your license has been emergently suspended. And I said, why?
The system wants to kill you. Why? Right? This knee-jerk reaction. Why shouldn't we ask questions? That's my question. But again, they don't like questions, so we are back to square one, revoking any type of privilege that they gave you, because that's what it is.
Well, they had an emergency meeting, and you are a threat to public health. For doing science, for saying, hey, I see a problem. I'm just showing you the data. Right. And so I have a very large practice. I can show you kids. I can show you all that data.
Science. He still thinks science matters these days. No, it doesn't. The narrative matters these days. Narrative is more important than science. Okay? These pharmaceutical companies do not make money from curing nothing, right? They haven't cured nothing. Like, tell me one thing Pfizer has cured, for instance. One disease. But still, they're a multi-billion-dollar company. So they're in the business of death, aren't they?
Yep. And it's saying what it's saying, and that makes me dangerous. Right. Here's some of the data, just so all of you can see it. I mean, look at this. You've got asthma. Look, the red line is those that are vaccinated. The blue line that are unvaccinated. Allergic rhinitis. I mean, they're all through the roof. Breathing issues.
I mean, look at the sharp rising of that red on every chart over. Like, going up immediately to cause, like, these things, it seems that they're designed to cause maximum damage immediately after they enter the system, right? This is the dangerous world that we are living in, right? And trust me, it's a miracle that we exist. Okay, it's a miracle. Look at these charts, brothers and sisters.
ADHD, look at that. I mean, it's almost completely a vaccine injury. Respiratory infections, ear pain, eye disorders, eczema, something that our poor kids. And by the way, eczema, my understanding is eczema used to be considered a vaccine injury, really. Like, if they started getting a rash, it would be like, don't vaccinate.
Yeah, you go back 40 years and 50 years ago, that's absolutely true. We have since been trained, pediatricians today are trained that eczema has nothing to do with vaccines. And in fact, all these things that have shown with statistical significance in a very well done peer-reviewed study that these are directly related, right? So we have three major categories of injury. We have the allergic, which is your eczema, your allergies, your asthma. We have neurodevelopment, so language, speech, behavior issues.
Okay, most important also, we don't need to forget, all of these things can happen to you in other ways, right? This damage, these reactions of allergy and all of these other things, they can happen to you even if you're not jabbed, so to speak, when you are a child. Why? Because there are ways to cause these things, right? Artificially, they know the body enough to introduce a certain type of element to cause such a intense reaction. So again, I'm talking from a targeted individual, right? But for a normal person, then I don't think they would see such adverse reactions like this. This is intentional, right? And because we don't really ask where these how do they make it, right? And from what I've heard, they were using one embryo, right? And whatever they got from there has been replicated over and over. But that original sample or they all take from that original sample. Crazy work.
Autism, ADD, ADHD. There was no ADD or ADHD in the unvaxxed. Zero.
He published those in a report, and his medical license was revoked days later. Why? Because he had a potential bias, because he knew which patients were vaccinated and which patients were unvaccinated, and so therefore could diagnose them according to his own bias. And you know what? Fair enough. That's science. It's pretty rigorous. What he's saying is, the reason I'm doing this is because the CDC should be doing this trial and you're not. How do they reward him? They remove his medical license. I do wonder if his results had proven that the vaccinated kids were incredibly so much more healthy. I wonder if his license would have been revoked.
Nope.
So his study was thrown out.
They would use it to say, look, it's safe. Look, it's safe. Come and take them.
You're telling me.
So as we can have a future clientele.
In all the decades of vaccine safety studies, there's been no bias present whatsoever by those conducting the studies. And maybe that's why there's 1,500 pharmaceutical lobbies in Washington, D.C., making sure that there's no bias present when they're conducting these studies.
I hope you don't get that chicken next. Right? Got him. Yeah, this is the real situation. And it's ritualistic. Right? They do everything backward. Right? English is backward. Right? The world writes from how the Arabs write, right? From right going left, right? But the new was left to right. Moonwalking. But in this case is sexual moonwalking. That's what it is, right? So this song here got Mr. Kodak Black replaced, right? Let's examine, right, the hip hop, the thug hip hop. Right? So It's a third verse, and he questions, I'm not old enough to hit the club or fill my cup with rum, but I can go die in the army, go to war for them, right? They need you healthy, right? I'm not old enough for marijuana cigars or to spark my blunt, but old enough to spend my life behind bars. That's dumb, right? It's a conflict of interest. You say that you care for me by protecting me from these things, but yet when it comes to going to jail and seems you just need me alive as your slave at this point, right? Toting magazines that got me in the articles. When I'm in Washington, D.C., I'm doing fraud and stuff. I'm not worried about Donald Trump. I'm not I was about seeing no monuments, right? And this was back in 2019 or 2020. This song came out. I don't remember. Before he went to jail, right? I'm gonna tell you what happened at the end, right? And he says, "I'm not worried about Donald Trump. I'm not worried about seeing no monuments. These people got weather control. Where the hell do you think Hurricane Harvey came from, right? The wind ain't got no name, right? At this particular time, Hurricane Harvey was happening, so you can see when this happened, right? The wind does not have no name. Where the hell do you think Hurricane Harvey came from, right? These people control the rain, right? He's using simple language for simple people, but it is genius, right? The delivery here is genius, right? I think this, in my opinion, this was like a farewell. But I don't think he came back after this, right? And people speculated, right? I don't think he came back after this, right? Because at this particular point, he was claiming I'm an Israelite, 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 right? But of course, he woke up on the wrong side of the bed, right? Because he had the Star of David as his part of chain, right? His drift, right? But he used that to tell people the truth, right? So he insists that these people got weather control. Where do you think Hurricane Heavy coming from? Right? The wind ain't got no name. What the hell you think Hurricane Harvey from? Right? These people control the rain. These people be digging bunkers up. Right? These people control the rain. These people be digging bunkers. He's a mason, right? Right? So I would take this information with a less pinch of salt because we know better now, right? But they only got 2 years of slavery to do harm to us. Okay? They only got 2 more years of slavery to do harm to us. From 1919, is it? Plus 400 years, where does it land? Yeah. And he says, I feel like Kunta Kinte, nigga. I'm the one who fought for us. And he goes on to repeat the same thing, right? But after this verse, that nigga went straight to jail and Trump got him out looking all weird. There's footage out there, right? Even that time, I remember I was sparring with Trump, right? Not to pun the name of this song, right? This song is called Spa, right? Spa, featuring Kodak Black and Key Glock, if I'm not mistaken, right? So that nigga went under after he done gave out this secret information over here, and I don't think he came back, right? You can look after when he went in and when he came back. He went in when Trump was here and he came out. Trump got him out. A presidential pardon, in fact. So yeah, this is what you get in this crazy world. Right? People who tell you the truth sometimes might not look like what you expect them to look like. Let's just say that. And that has been a common thing, right? But anyway, let me not go on for long. Let me put a point in it right there. Prince Easy signing out. Love you. Bye.